Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Friday, February 7, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Democratic lawmakers were blocked from entering the Department of Education by Elon Musk's security team. We'll show you that video. A federal judge has issued a temporary injunction keeping Donald Trump and Elon Musk, his co-president, from firing personnel with the USAID office. But while that's happening, they literally are removing the name of the USAID from the building, even though Congress has not gotten rid of the agency. We'll also discuss why federal workers should not take a buyout from Elon Musk. Folks, on CNN, there was a heated debate about the differing realities faced by black and white folks. Ashley Allison let them know what it's like being a black woman with lots of degrees, not getting paid her fair market value. MAGA is not happy at all. We'll explain why they're idiots. And Illinois County has reached a settlement with the family of Sonia Massey, the black woman who was tragically gunned down in her home by a white sheriff's deputy. And we'll talk more about what is happening in this country and how regular, ordinary people are being impacted by these billionaire oligarchs who want to turn the federal government into a private enterprise. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, multiple members of Congress were denied, Democrats, let's be real clear, Democrats were denied entry today to the Department of Education headquarters. Not only were they denied entry, but the Trump administration had deployed federal law enforcement officers to stop them from coming in. About 100 Democratic lawmakers showed up at the DOE building in D.C., and this was the exchange.
Members of Congress.
Article 1.
All right, now. Okay. We're coming in. We're coming in. We're coming in. Don't lock the door. We're coming in. Who are you?
You're not coming in.
Who are you?
Who under whose
Who are
orders?
you? Who are you?
Who are you, sir?
Do you have business here?
We do. I have sent the assistant secretary a letter alerting her that we would be here today, and we've asked her for a meeting.
Yeah, I don't know that that's been accepted, so until that's accepted.
Who are you? And what do you do here?
What do you do here?
Security responsibility.
Get out of the way. We pay for your job. We pay you.
We're members of
We pay you.
Nobody has accepted a meeting.
You are.
We haven't heard that from the secretary. We haven't heard that from the spokesman.
I'm relaying that.
You are not the spokesman for the department. You are a security guard.
Can you
We're members of Congress.
Where's your badge? Where's your badge? You don't have any identification. Where's your ID? Where's your ID?
We are not.
It's not good enough.
We are not a threat to security. We're members of Congress, and we want to ask a question.
We walk into the White House without having to go through magnetometers.
Can we get someone?
This is an outrage. This is an outrage.
I'd like to speak with someone who works here.
So what are you going to do? You're going to beat us up if we go in?
I mean, you're going to,
we want you to move out of the way.
We're not steamrolling you.
Get out of the way.
This says all access entrance.
Stand aside, sir.
We're
This
members
says
of
all
Congress.
access entrance.
Please stand aside, sir.
I'm not standing aside.
Why not?
Because my role is to make sure that...
What authority do you have to block members of Congress from the oversight? We all have oversight responsibilities. What by what authority can you deny members of Congress their oversight role?
You don't have a business reason to be here.
You do not have authority, sir. You do not have authority.
Access entrance.
There is no authority for you to deny members of Congress their oversight responsibility.
We're the
If you have an
appropriate.
appointment and you're on a guest list, we will let you in.
Is what you're saying?
Or you have to have an escort.
Let me
Somebody
ask
come
you a
down to
question.
escort.
Can I ask my question? Are you telling me today that you have to be on a guest list in order to come to the Department of Education?
Either we are informed in advance if somebody's coming, or
they
You
know
were
we were
informed.
coming.
You were informed of this. 94 members of Congress.
take you where you're going.
Sir, 94 members of Congress signed a letter asking the acting secretary for a meeting and to answer a simple question. And she is apparently.
I'm not aware of the meeting.
So you have to be on a guest list to enter the Department of Education.
Members of
just
Congress,
explained
we
you
don't
have
have to
to
be on a
either
guest
be
list.
on a list in advance to have access, or if you're coming, then you have to let us know who your escort is. I don't know.
That wasn't true last year. Did something change between last
That's
year?
always been the procedure.
No, it hasn't. I've walked into this building multiple times last year. I walked in. We were at least allowed to walk into that lobby, not stopped outside like this.
It's no difference. I mean, you'd be stopped at the visitor's desk.
We're
Okay,
trying
let's
to
go.
start the
I'm
Congress.
doing that in advance.
No.
Why are you doing that?
We're allowed to go to the
We've
visitor's
got 100
desk.
people out here.
We're trying to
These are members of Congress. These are members of Congress.
We're trying to save your job. You won't have a job if we don't help you.
This is no
You won't have any place to
This is
send
a
your
public
kids.
institution.
We're here speaking for a ton of kids from coast to coast that deserve a quality public education, and this department should stay open, and we want to share that
Sure, the
message.
leadership department's working to do that.
Yeah.
We're not so sure. That's why we're here.
That's what we want to talk to her about.
Last year, we'd be able to walk in and go to that desk.
I mean, the response I got right here, that doesn't sound like,
Sir.
it's not dangerous.
I'm going to stop you right there. No. I'm going to stop you right there and put it on the record. You did not get a dangerous response
She
here.
told me to get out of the way.
You did not get a dangerous response here, so I'm not going to let you put that narrative out there.
He can lie
I'm
all
not
he
going to
wants
let
to.
you
I'm
put
not
that
afraid he
narrative out
wasn't
there. I'm going
moving.
to tell you to
I'm
your
not
face
afraid
that
of
that's a
him. He can lie all
We are
he
members
wants
of
to.
Congress, as she said. What I asked you is, do we need to be on a guest list to be in?
Or somebody coming down to escort
But
you.
there
I
was
don't have
no
either.
danger or threat to you.
Go
So
get
let's just
somebody.
make
Go
sure
get
that
somebody.
We are allowed to go to that desk
there
right
was
there.
no danger to you.
We are allowed to go to that desk right there.
Go get
Like I've
somebody
done
to
multiple
escort us.
times in the past years.
Go get
We're allowed
somebody
go
to
that desk.
escort us in. You know this
The acting
building.
secretary, Denise Carter.
Yeah, that's who we came to
Or
see. Get someone.
chief of
There's
staff.
no accepted meeting.
So what?
I said there's not an accepted meeting.
Why are you not letting us into
Why
that
can't we
desk?
ask for one?
I'm doing it in
Why
advance.
can't we go in and
Why
ask
are you
for
doing it in
one?
advance? That's not a thing. I have not seen that.
Why can't we go in and ask for one?
Can you send somebody from the Department of Education here who's not just a security guard?
I've explained why you're not coming in.
Well, are you prepared to stand here for 24 hours with us? Are you prepared to stand here all night if we decide to stay?
I guess, yes.
All right, well, you just stay right there. You just stay and stay.
Why are you letting us go to that desk like we were able to do last year?
He's not a U.S. employee.
This is a public institution.
Did Elon Musk hire you?
So are you not aware of members of Congress who have responsibilities on? We're trying to save your job.
He's not a federal employee. Just like I'm telling you. Can I see it?
Show us your badge again. Let's see.
How do we know who you are?
I don't know.
I can't see it. Can we see your badge?
I'm a federal employee.
We're allowed
You're not showing us your badge.
we're allowed to go to that visitor's desk like we have been allowed to do in past years. We are allowed to go to that visitor's
Now they're
desk.
bringing Department of Homeland Security.
They should come out.
absurd.
They should come out.
Yeah, let them come out. Let them come out.
I know at a minimum,
we have
we are
those
allowed to
too.
go to that visitor's desk.
We have one of those too, just like
At
you.
a minimum.
Why can't we get in?
He does not have one of those.
We have one of those.
He ain't got one of those.
We're members of Congress. Let us in.
We'd like you to.
We've always been allowed.
Members of Congress. We want to have a meeting.
Were you told to
with
deny members of Congress entrance into this building, sir?
So there's no meeting.
That's a good question. Were you told to deny members of Congress
Department of
into this
Homeland
building?
Security? This is absurd.
Were you told to stand here?
Yeah, were you told to deny members of Congress from entering this building?
There's no business purpose to be here, so that's why.
But
Why was it our security? Why
There's no business purpose.
We are members of Congress.
You say that with a
Many of
straight
us are on
face.
the education committee. How could you say there's no
Are you making a decision for the Department of Education on your own behalf, or were you told to come out here and block members of Congress?
They know that we're here. Max, ask the question again. That's important.
Were you told, are you making this decision to stand in front of this door on your own behalf, on behalf of the Department of Education, or were you told to come out here and block members of Congress from going to the desk?
Doing my job.
So everybody's what is that?
We're doing our jobs.
We're trying to save your
It's
job.
non-responsive.
Show them your ID.
Were you told to stand here, or did you decide to stand here and block members of Congress from entering the Department of Education?
To federal buildings.
Members of Congress.
We're allowed in there.
So a private security contractor
Do you know who members of Congress are?
members of
We're all members of Congress.
Maybe he doesn't understand. Do you
A private
understand who
security
members of Congress are?
contractor is making the decision to block members of Congress from a public access entrance.
I don't think he knows.
You have the
what
authority as a private
Congress is
security
or what we do.
contractor to block members of Congress. That has been knighted and granted to you.
You have to at least let us go to the desk.
Yeah. Too many goes out.
It's made to
Oh my, look at that. Who told you to do this? Open the door.
I'll see you now.
So do you understand who members of Congress are?
I got it, yeah.
Well, and you don't care. Who are we then?
I got the job to do.
You don't care. We have a job to do.
We're not dangerous people. We're not, I don't know, security. There are no thieves and thugs out here. We're members of Congress. We're parents. We're teachers.
Each of us.
There's our ID. Right there.
We were elected to do this.
This is our job.
This is our job. We're doing our job.
You're securing this building against who?
Members of Congress.
Who are you protecting?
Against members of the people's
So
house
this
or
is the
represent the
beginning
people.
of full transparency of this administration.
That's right.
The administration that talked about they're going to open the doors to all of these things and show the American public what is going on. They won't even open the door to this building to
Go to the
members of
visitor
Congress.
Or
We are
anyone.
not posing any threat here.
Not
No, we are not
whatsoever.
dangerous people. We have not
They
done
won't even
anything.
let us
We're
talk to
trying
the
to
Department of
request
Education
a meeting, and they won't. They have a private security contractor who, on his own, is making decisions on behalf of the Department of Education.
So, Congressman Hayes,
At the
what you're saying is they're
all-access
not, they allow billionaires and his minions to come in
I don't
to this
know who
building.
he is. I don't know who he is, but I know who I
they
am.
allow-
And I'm a member of Congress with oversight responsibilities trying to request a meeting, and a private security contractor is not allowing me to enter the building.
They allow billionaires to go in this building, but
Congressman Maxwell Frost and Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky took to social media to let the public know exactly what was happening. Here is Congresswoman Schakowsky.
I'm standing in front of the Department of Education, and a group of members of Congress want to go in to discuss any plans that the president or Elon Musk may have to diminish the rights of students. What have they done? They have locked us out. And as I look inside, there are several policemen there to prevent members of Congress to go in, and a man standing in front of the door who won't even tell us who he is. This is disgusting.
Congressman Maxwell Frost also live streamed exactly what was happening.
Hey everybody, I'm here with multiple members of Congress. We're here to go to the Department of Education to fight for education, and they have locked the doors. They're not letting us in. It says all access entrance. There's this random guy out here who's refusing to let us in.
His name is
And right here, what's his name?
His name is Jim Harefield.
And right here, they have armed officers as well, acting like we're dangerous. A year ago, I'd be able to walk into this building and not be locked out. This is what they're doing. Elon is allowed in, but not you, not your elected representatives, not parents, not students. Elon can go in, his goons can go in, but not the representatives of the people.
Folks, Congresswoman Summer Lee of Pennsylvania posted this. I went to the Department of Education to demand answers as Trump and Musk aim to dismantle it. Republicans never miss a chance to claim they are the defenders of children, but when it comes to making sure kids have an education that sets them up for success, they are nowhere to be found. Folks, this is happening all across Washington, D.C., but also across the country. What Donald Trump and his co-president, Elon Musk, have unleashed is a dictatorship. Literally, a coup is taking place right before us. Now, there are people out there who are on the right who say, oh, how dare you use the language of a coup. But do understand, the people who this one security guard denied entry to the place, and his name is Jim Harefield. He is the Education Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Facilities and Logistics. Now, here's what's crazy here. To suggest that he can prevent duly elected members of Congress from entering a federal building by saying, well, you need an escort, is utterly nonsensical. That's as if you or I decides to come to Washington, D.C., and if we go to the Cannon building or any of the buildings that house the House members and the Senate members, do understand, every single one of you has a right to walk into that one of those buildings, go through security, literally walk to the office of your member of Congress. So for me, in the 30th Congressional District of Texas, is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. I, as a constituent, have the right to decide to go to that building where her office is, walk in, walk to her congressional office, walk up to the desk of the assistant and say, I would like to speak with my congresswoman. But what co-president Elon Musk and co-president Donald Trump are doing, yeah, that twice impeached, criminally convicted felon, what they're saying is your members of Congress do not have the right to meet with anybody in this administration, to question anything, and they can't even step foot in the building. And behind him, you didn't see it, were several other security guards. My panel, Michael Imhotep, hosts the African History Network show in Detroit. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Dr. Zachary Kirk, educator and content creator out of Atlanta. Glad to have all three of you here. I mean, what people need to understand what's going on here, and it's not understating this. And man, I'll start with you. They don't care about civil rights. They don't care about labor rights. They don't care about any of that. They are intruding. They are firing everyone left and right. Elon Musk has access to the personal data of millions of Americans. And one of the things that is absolutely crazy to me as this thing begins to unfold is that they also announced, I'm going to pull this up, and y'all got to trip just to understand what's going on. How these folks are operating. They literally have announced that they're treating Elon Musk, the co-president, totally different than, frankly, anybody else. Let me pull this up here. Wait till y'all see this here. And that is, and they were asked at the White House, if you want to know what kind of special dispensation he has, Matt, what they've decided, I'm going to show this tweet, so give me a second. Y'all won't believe, well, y'all probably, you will believe this because it's been happening, but they have designated Elon Musk as a special employee. So he's listed as a White House official says Musk is an unpaid government employee who is not a commissioned, I'm going to pull up in a second, but who is not a commissioned, let's see if I can still try to get this up so y'all can see it. Give me 1 second. While I'm trying to connect it, I want to go ahead and read it. He is a special government employee who is not a commissioned officer. He will file a confidential financial disclosure report. So his financial disclosure report won't even be public. But if you're a federal worker, yours has to be public. But he's an unpaid special government employee, Matt.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that means he's supposed to have, a certain period of time that he's allowed to do this job. I think it's 800 and some odd days is how it's customarily done. But, that's a subterfuge. Look, what we're seeing right now is we are seeing a continuing pushing of the boundaries and descent to authoritarianism. I mean, all that's really being asked right now is how much will the American people take before there's a real pushback, a real revolution? Because the idea that democratically elected members of Congress cannot get access to a public building is absurd. I mean, when I was in college, I worked on Capitol Hill in the Cannon building, just like what you were talking about, right? And what would happen? Constituents would come every day and go through security. They'd be vetted, and they'd go right to their public office. The fact that a dude in a polo is standing in front of these doors telling democratically elected people that they can't come into the building should be terrifying. But what's happening right now on Fox News is they're calling Maxine Waters and all of them unhinged and talking about how Trump and his policies have the Democrats scurrying, and they're spinning it to look like people we have elected to do our business are somehow doing something unhinged by trying to do that business. This is the tip of the iceberg. And frankly, the only question we should be asking ourselves is how much longer are we going to let this kind of thing happen before people are just forcing entry into buildings? I mean, frankly, like the idea that a dude in a polo can keep out elected Congress people is absurd. And it is proof positive of exactly the kind of thing that we go around the world saying we're trying to prevent through military action, right? All the time. We go around the world talking about anti-democratic action and why the United States is here to save the day. And in real time, we are watching that exact thing happen in the United States when Elon Musk and his cronies are given full access to data that otherwise people with high security clearances would have access to. This is, I mean, it's unprecedented, but it's terrifying, frankly.
And Michael, we absolutely know, we know 100% that if Democrats had blocked the doors and prevented Republicans from being able to enter any government building, Fox News, Megyn Kelly, Ben Shapiro, all of them would be going absolutely crazy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so those thugs at those media outlets, they don't give a damn either. They all are a part of the same fascist system.
Absolutely, and that's why Donald Trump took so many people from Fox News, white nationalist TV, and put them in his administration, like Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, like Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. But I have to, I disagree with you a little bit, Roland. These Republicans in the Trump administration, they do care about civil rights. That's why they are specifically targeting them and erasing them. That's why he rescinded Executive Order 11246 from President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1965, which is called affirmative action. They are specifically targeting it. Now, when we look at what's going on with the Department of Education, he signs an executive order to shut down what was created by Congress. This is Chapter 11 of Project 2025 deals with dismantling the Department of Education. This is what conservatives have wanted to do since President Carter signed it into law in 1979. And one of their arguments is that they feel, even though the Department of Education does not set curriculum, contrary to popular belief, they have been making the argument that the federal Department of Education is overstepping their authority when it comes to certain issues. And a lot of this has to go back to dealing with segregation and desegregating schools, things of this nature. So this is what we've been warning Black people about. And one of the things they want to do is they want to stop student loan forgiveness. Okay, and you're going to see them going after funding for HBCUs as well. We know under Biden-Harris, we got $17 billion for HBCUs from 2021 to 2024. You're not going to see anything like that coming from the Trump administration. So this is what we were warning people about. And even though the president can't technically dismantle a department that Congress created, but with Elon Musk controlling the Treasury payments, $6 trillion in Treasury payments, what happens if they just cut off funding to the Department of Education and starve it? These people don't care about the law. But as Dr. Greg Carr has told us a number of times, there are no rules. One of these days, we're going to learn that.
Zachary?
There are no rules. I agree 110% with Michael. Because if there are rules, it would be clearly made known that Elon Musk is in violation of the Hatch Act. Even as a special advisor who is unpaid or whatever the position that they've created for this man may be, he is in violation of the Hatch Act when he is sitting here doing 2,000 tweets in one day, as he did yesterday, while still being a part of a governmental agency. Even with limited responsibility to the Hatch Act, he's in violation. So what we're seeing is indeed a takeover. Like Michael said, it's a complete coup where we have this oligarch and his team, these multi-billionaires, coming in, dictating the needs and the wants and what's best for the American people, and a president who is co-signed to do it because he wants to ensure that he never went to jail in the first place for the crimes that he committed. So therefore, he was able to let these people buy their way into positions of power that they should have never been given. Congress has the oversight authority to monitor what's happening in governmental agencies like the Department of Education. The fact that these elected leaders, elected by the people, were not given the opportunity to go into a building to oversee what's happening in that building, especially when they're being bombarded with calls from their constituents, is shocking. It's shocking. And I think we're seeing an absolute, what many people are saying, a constitutional crisis slowly beginning to unfold.
Well, absolutely. Again, they don't care about oversight. They don't care about anyone checking them. And so their whole strategy is to completely do whatever they want. And they want people, getting caught up in the games of DEI and other stuff. And what they're trying to do, they're making unilateral decisions as it relates to what needs to get funded. And again, outside of Congress. A little bit later, we're going to talk to Ben Dixon because they're trying to float this idea of taking government buyouts. Y'all, they don't exist. They don't exist. Congress hasn't authorized it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So lots to unpack on today's show. So we're going to get more into it, folks. When we come back, jobs report came. Y'all missed Joe Biden, huh? We'll tell you what the numbers look like. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. If you want to give via Cash App, use the Stripe app. This is the QR code right here. And so click Cash App for the payment. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037 7-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
Well, y'all, when you're on that stage or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3, 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his
over on the right-hand
parents.
side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, you know, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
You know, the music travels everywhere, you know, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid, then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
How you doing? My name is Mark Carey, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We doing an interview, motherfucker.
The downsizing of the U.S. Agency for International Development is currently on hold. U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols has halted the plan to reduce the workforce from more than 5,000 employees to just a few hundred. Earlier this week, about 10,000 USAID employees, excluding essential personnel, were notified that they would be placed on administrative leave starting at the end of Friday. The American Foreign Service Association, representing 1,800 foreign service officers working with USAID, and the American Federation of Government Employees filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration on Thursday. The legal action came after the administration announced that thousands of USAID employees will be placed on administrative leave beginning at 11:59 p.m. on Friday as part of a broader initiative by Donald Trump and tech billionaire co-president Elon Musk, Department of Government Efficiency, which actually doesn't even exist, not a real department, to reshape the federal government. Speaking of jobs, folks, the U.S. added 143,000 jobs in January, fewer than economists expected, while the overall employment rate inched down to 4% from 4% to 4.1%. The black unemployment rate rose to 6.2%. For black men, it jumped to 6.9%. Black women stayed at 5.4%. Morgan Harper, the Director of Policy and Advocacy at the American Economic Liberties Project, joins us from Columbus, Ohio. And Morgan, I'm sure those black men who were just trumpeting Trump, wonder what they got to say now.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is the biggest jump that we saw in these numbers is black men unemployment. The other group that we saw jump was Asian Americans. You know, as I say every month, Roland, when we talk about these numbers, it's important to note that it is just a spot in time. So we have to kind of see if this ends up being a trend. But certainly it is saying something that black men were the only group to see this high of a jump among all the different populations that are being surveyed.
And so what were they expecting the job number to be? Was it exceed 200,000? And so what happened?
Well, you know, it's not entirely clear. I mean, yeah, so they did have to revise down some of the job numbers from the end of this past year, but it did seem like this number wasn't too far out of line from what people were expecting, and the market's kind of reacting accordingly. And so, you know, I think the conventional wisdom here was if we were seeing numbers that were suggesting job additions of under 100,000, that probably would have been cause for a lot of alarm. Or if there were more than 200,000 jobs, then that also would have felt out of whack from what people were expecting. But based on this number in the 140,000 range, it's on par with what people were expecting. We did see also wage growth, but it's certainly not a sign of the economy is amazingly strong and we have nothing to continue to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have to, you know, myself included, that are going to continue to follow these numbers very closely, because there's obviously a lot of uncertainty that has entered the whole economy, as well as we have a new president who is making changes to economic policy pretty much every day. And so, you know, how businesses react to that, how consumers react to that in terms of their comfort level with spending in the face of that uncertainty and just flurry of activity kind of remains to be seen. I think the other thing to note that's interesting here, and we've talked about this a bit before, is among the sectors that are driving growth, they usually are the same sectors healthcare, or at least for the past few months and a couple of years, healthcare, government jobs, and and especially calling out that government job category. Now, of course, there's lots of different levels of government, but seeing some of the early moves from the administration to also limit the federal workforce, it'll be interesting. And it's too quick for these numbers to reflect how that might be having an impact, but it'll be interesting to continue to monitor this and see how the job growth data is impacted by these types of federal policy changes that are happening at the government level there.
Just curious, how did Fox News and Fox Business respond to this report? Because, under Biden-Harris, it would be, oh my God, it's alarming that it was less than expected.
Are you asking me, or are you showing a clip?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you. What did you see any response?
No, I didn't catch that.
I'm just curious to how the right wing, who lost their mind even when numbers were adjusted downward under Biden-Harris, how they operated. So I was just curious if you saw any of that.
I haven't seen that, but I do think you're right that. I guess I could imagine perhaps what the coverage was there, very likely to be less critical than anything that was happening in the Biden administration. And look, I mean, I do think that it's pretty typical at the beginning of a presidential administration that, not just Fox News, but a lot of different outlets are, going to see how things develop and give it a little bit of time. There's a new, president in office elected and how that all plays out. I think it's fair to say that what we've been seeing in the first couple of weeks in this administration are pretty unprecedented, just with the flurry of activity. Take, for example, another topic that we've discussed, trade. I mean, to both impose a tariff and then also remove that tariff in the span of a week. And today, for example, deciding to remove one of those tariffs after having a meeting with the CEO of a company that is directly impacted by that tariff. This is not what we would normally expect from an economic policy team or from the president.
So I'm curious here. Today's report reflects the whole month of January, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which also is a part of the Trump folks as well. I mean, I just love how they're trying to spin this by trying to blame it on Biden-Harris. That to me was what I found to be hilarious. But again, that's what they do. They will never ever actually accept blame. In fact, go to my iPod. This was Fox Business. Today's jobs report reveals the Biden economy was far worse than anyone thought and underscores the necessity of President Trump's pro-growth policies. And then they claim that they have been plugging in government jobs left and right to make the numbers look better. But the reality is the growth that we saw was actually in healthcare and retail.
Yeah, and again, look, I mean, this is going to be this is the time for a new administration to show they have presented a vision for the country of what's necessary to spur growth, just like you saw in that statement, and we'll see how that pans out. I think that it's, again, fair to say, I mean, this isn't a partisan observation, that there are a lot of people in the administration that are very tightly connected to Wall Street, big finance, and they have very different policy priorities from the average American, and certainly very different economic situation. So, today also we're seeing attacks on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, an agency that's returned billions of dollars to consumers all over the country. It has a budget of about $800 million, and it's not entirely clear, even if your goal is government efficiency, why that would be a target. But setting that aside, I mean, this is an agency that's actually putting money in people's pockets that they can then spend, buy things, spur the economy, and continue to keep businesses in good shape. So
yeah, but the problem with that is that they hold big business accountable, and Republicans actually hate that. That's why they've never liked it. They always wanted to get rid of it because they don't like being held accountable. And so, and the last thing they want, these businesses, they don't want to see workers, Americans, consumers being taken care of. It's also why even Democratic billionaires wanted to get rid of Lena Khan at the Federal Trade Commission. And so, again, the money, whenever the money people on the Democrat and Republican side are agreeing to get rid of somebody, they probably are doing a great job.
Well, and here's an interesting thing there too, Roland. I don't know if you've been seeing some of the observations from Steve Bannon, certainly one of the main leaders of MAGA movement. And he's been out there saying he doesn't agree with the big tech billionaires that seem to be running, including Elon Musk, that seem to be having not even disproportionate amount of influence. They are actually side by side in implementing the president's agenda, though not technically members of the government, and supports and thought that Lena Khan should have had more power. So yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I think you're exactly right that we see on both sides of the aisle the corruption and the corruptive impact of money in politics and policy making. But then we're also starting to see these splinters where a lot of different types of folks are starting to call out some of this influence and actually holding some of these large businesses accountable that have been profiting enormously at the expense of the average worker, business owner, and a lot of communities. And ultimately now we're seeing the effects on democracy too.
To that particular point, I want to play for you. I'd never ever play anything from Steve Bannon, but I want to play for you so people can understand what you were just talking about. Listen to this here.
Neo-Brandesian when it comes to the Justice Department and antitrust. I think Lena Khan should have been given more power, should have been able to do more things. I think there's obviously a big problem. I think a big problem in Silicon Valley with, these are monopolistic powers that have gone from kind of market control and profits to really digital platforms and rent seekers. And so I'm a huge believer in that. Also a believer on taxes. The taxes are going to have, unless we can close the...
Now he's saying that, so what he's laying out there, because he says that he's a true populist as opposed to conservative, Republican, and what's happening is these tech folk, what they're really doing is they are desperately trying to turn the federal government into private, like a privately run company. And so when you listen to their language, when you listen to them lay out things that need to be done, this is the concern. And so, and what they're trying to do is in many ways different from even what some Wall Street folks do. And so it's very interesting when you listen to it. And I received give me 1 second, I'm gonna pull it up. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna send this to you, Morgan, because I think you're gonna really enjoy this. There was a document that I received that sort of explained this, that I thought was really, really interesting and compelling. Give me 1 second. So I can't airdrop when I'm connected to the Roku, but now I'm, let's see here. Let's see, where is it? Let me see the document. And so give me 1 second. Almost there. So this is what I'm seeing is that what we're seeing is what is called a private takeover of government. And it says the report outlines a troubling shift happening in the U.S. government where Elon Musk and his allies are consolidating power over critical federal agencies and infrastructure. What started as an effort to make government more efficient has turned into something bigger, much bigger, a private takeover of key government functions. And so it lays out, what's going on. But this is the key right here. Unvetted, inexperienced hires under 25 years old have been given control over key government functions through DOGE. Many of them come from Silicon Valley neo-reactionary movement, a radical ideology that opposes democracy and supports a tech CEO-run government. We're going to hear a lot more about that neo-reactionary movement. And that's really, I think, what jumps out here that we have to be paying attention to. And folks like Peter Thiel and others, they are so hell-bent on Bitcoin and crypto because they want to impact it. They want, frankly, they don't want the supremacy of the American dollar. So these folks are not the same, and I know it may sound crazy, as traditional Wall Street folks.
I think that's right. But so there's a lot to unpack. And so I don't know how much we're going to do on that today. But I think the point that these guys are a different breed than your run-of-the-mill Republican is absolutely right. How do we know? Steve Bannon, who is certainly has identified as a conservative for his entire life, I believe, is calling them out as a major problem for the security of the United States. That tells us something. The fact that we saw so many of the tech billionaires at the Trump inauguration front and center is a pretty strong indication of their influence over our government. Elon Musk giving $250 million to
300.
Okay. $300 million to Trump's campaign, and pretty much, a pay for play situation here at exercising this type of influence. And he clearly has a lot of personal interest. Why is he not a part of the government? Well, if you're not a part of the government, then you continue to run your businesses. He has a lot of personal interest in getting contracts from the government, particularly in the defense space, not just him, but also people who are very closely connected to him. For example, in Ohio, our state government is giving a contract to a drone defense company, the owner of which is close friends with Elon Musk and also the brother-in-law of Matt Gaetz. So, there's a tangled web that has been woven that we all need to be paying attention to and start to understand the different strands of, because this is a major, major threat. The only thing and this is where I would think probably a whole different conversation is on the dollar and how much it has served us to have the dollar be considered the reserve currency for the entire globe. That does have impacts on things like inequality, but that's probably a whole nother conversation. The only thing I would also add, just in terms of political observations on this whole thing, is, it is a little tricky. I mean, a lot of people who did vote for Donald Trump, and, though the mandate, so to speak, is perhaps not as strong as he and his supporters would have us believe, it is people who voted with this idea that he was very open about wanting to trim the government and make the government more efficient. So I think that's where it's going to be very hard for people to follow, well, is it this more efficient that we're getting rid of certain agencies like the CFPB? Is that duplicative? But we have to stay really focused on what are each of these agencies doing? Who is afraid of them? Who is not on the side of wanting to have someone that's going to look out for consumers and make sure that medical debt isn't ruining their finances, for example? That's what the CFPB was doing. If you're against that, then you're pro healthcare and Wall Street billionaires. Straight as that. But I do think you're right. Overall, the Elon Musk of the world are kind of playing a whole different game, and that's something that we all need to get smart about.
Well, absolutely.
Very quickly.
And listen, it is about consolidating power, and it's about them, again, being in control. It's how they want to use AI, and they want to cut everybody except themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there is look, I'm not saying that there's no one that's in the administration who genuinely wants to make government more efficient. Me, for example, I'd love to make government work. I've worked in the federal government. There's certainly room to make things more efficient, streamlined, but it doesn't appear that that is the main goal of some of these early actions. Again, how do we know? I mean, take, for example, something like USAID, $40 billion budget. The defense budget is $800 billion.
And is on its way to $1 trillion.
Yes, half of which, and this isn't Morgan making this up, this is all publicly reported. You could look at Department of Defense documents, half of which almost is going to defense contractors. This is crazy. And so if you're serious about addressing government spending, look at that. P.S. Healthcare is twice as much money for the federal government going to healthcare as to defense spending. So what are we talking about? Immediately putting people who are doing good health projects. And again, a whole different conversation about what we're doing with USAID and how much of it we should be doing. But we are being told that this is about government efficiency. And if you're talking government efficiency and you're not talking the billions and billions of dollars that are being spent on healthcare, or the billions and billions of dollars that are being spent by the government on defense that are going directly to huge monopolists, then you're not being serious about efficiency. And we need to be absolutely clear about that.
I don't believe a second that they care about efficiency. They care about control. Morgan, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Ellen Weintraub, chairwoman of the Federal Elections Commission, is refusing to step down from her position after the convicted criminal in chief tried to fire her. Weintraub received a letter on January 31st informing her that she had been removed as a member of the FEC Commission, effective immediately. This comes after the Orange One has decided to fire anyone who is not loyal to his racist agenda. White House Principal Deputy Press Secretary said it's not up to Weintraub if she remains on the commission. FEC commissioners serve staggered 6-year terms with 2 seats subject to an appointment every 2 years. 1 seat is now vacant. Commissioners are nominated by the person in the Oval Office and confirmed by the United States Senate. But let me also explain to you how shameful, despicable these people are. Donald Trump removed the commander of the Coast Guard. And if you want to know how callous and ridiculous these people are, they informed that woman that not only are you out of your job, called her up and had told her she had 3 hours to get out of her house. This is what I'm talking about here, Michael, in terms of how they're operating and how they think. To say, not only to remove you from your job, you're out 3 hours. 3 hours, woman had to pack up and leave. Not her office, where she lived.
Yeah, and from my understanding, the initial letter she was given gave her up to 60 days to move, but something changed. And this is just petty, vindictive Donald Trump. Now, the reason that was given for her firing was they said that she was focusing too much on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But to my knowledge on this, they really couldn't cite any specific instances.
Of course not.
Of where she was actually violating any policies or anything like that.
No, the problem is she's a woman. The problem is she's a woman. She's a white woman, but she's a woman. The woman spent 36 years in the Coast Guard. 36 years in the Coast Guard, and then they were like, you're out. And then because under the guise of we trying to end a lot of this government housing for retired military personnel.
But it's important for people to understand when you look at the changes that are taking place, the executive orders and different things like this, policy changes, you see a commonality of them using DEI to wipe out policies, to revoke executive orders, to shut down government entities, departments. And they don't have to give an example, but they're using that as an excuse. They'll also say something promotes Marxist theology or Marxist ideology, and then they'll say the Green New Deal. Okay, but they use DEI across the board, and all this is laid out in Project 2025. This is one of the things that they explain. So go ahead.
No. So I mean,
this is why. This 2024 presidential election, the stakes were higher than ever. Okay, so this is going to get worse. This is the fight of our lifetimes.
But Zachary, I dare say, I'm gonna play this soundbite. This is what they did not like. Listen.
We currently have nearly 40% women enrolled at the Coast Guard Academy. I'm really excited about the talent and the diversity that I see coming through the academy. My daughter is in the Coast Guard as a lieutenant, and there is just nothing but opportunity for her and all of the men and women that have joined the service. I'm really excited about the future as we look.
Zachary, here's the reality. They want white heterosexual men. That's what they want, white, heterosexual, Christian men. They want white, heterosexual, Christian, right-wing men.
who are also undereducated. That's what they want serving, and they want to ensure that all of the opportunities given to Americans through the military benefit that group of people. I agree 100%. And that's what you're seeing reflected in the policies that are being pushed by this president and the rhetoric, the very dangerous rhetoric, as Michael said, that he's using.
And understand these racists. Give me 1 second. Remember earlier in the week, we told when Trump all of a sudden began to attack South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Pull up the breaking news banner. I'll tell you what this white supremacist is doing, y'all. This white supremacist has now signed executive order, signed sanctions against South Africa for their recent land seizure bill. He's ordering all aid to South Africa be halted, and he's ordering federal agencies to prioritize humanitarian relief and admission to the United States for Afrikaner refugees. So what Donald Trump is saying is, and remember, Elon Musk tweeted this a couple days ago, we need to bring these white South Africans to the United States. And just so everybody knows, Zachary, do you know 3 of the biggest billionaires supporting Donald Trump? Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, David Sachs, all 3 white children of apartheid.
That's shocking that in the same week that our president and our government decided to deny continuing to fund humanitarian aid and relief to the people of Gaza, a land that he got on a national stage and said that he wanted to take over to further colonize. He is now also saying that he wants to give financial recompensation to Afrikaners in South Africa.
This is what it says, Matt. The United States cannot support the government of South Africa's commission of rights violations in its country or its undermining United States foreign policy, which poses national security threats to our nation, our allies, our African partners, and our interest. Huh? Exactly how is South Africa actually doing that? And so, again, he lays out in here policy. It is the policy of the United States that as long as South Africa continues these unjust and immoral practices that harm our nation, whoa, I'm sorry. How does South Africa's land law harm us? The United States shall not provide aid or assistance to South Africa, and the United States shall promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation. Y'all, remember when he was trashing the Haitian immigrants? What he's saying is, hey, all of you white people from South Africa, welcome home to the United States, Matt.
How are 334 million people being held hostage by 2 dudes? That's what's happening right now. Like, seriously, how does South Africa's land law affect us at all? Beyond that, if the 3 billionaires supporting you are all South African, why are we surprised by that? Like, I don't understand this. I do not understand this, because if this happened on a much smaller level, the response to this would be overwhelming and would be violent. Let's be honest. If 2 dudes came onto a block and tried to tell the people who live there how they were going to live, they would get forced off. And I understand he's the elected president of the United States, but I cannot understand this. How are we sitting here trying to apply rationalization to the patently irrational? What is the response beyond revolution? I don't understand it. Like, seriously, what do we do? Because it does not make sense to me that 2 people are holding an entire country hostage in a country that purports to have a history of standing up against tyrants. This is patent tyranny. I mean, I don't understand what we do beyond taking different action, because I don't understand how we're at this point, and I don't understand how we're all allowing it to continually being pushed out, the bounds, right? That's why all these executive orders are coming out. It's all about testing the law and seeing how far you can go, and the courts are not going to respond quickly enough. I don't understand like how this is happening and how we're watching it happen in real time and we're not responding differently.
First of all, it's happening, and this is for all of you folks, FBA, B1 or not, who sat here and said, oh, y'all are shills, y'all are all in the pocket of the Democrats, y'all are all covering up. And so, oh, he's going to make America great again. And so what happens? Casey loses in Pennsylvania. Sherrod Brown loses in Ohio. Okay? That's 2 seats right there. Then you have the other losses. So the Democrats lost the Senate. You had you had political gerrymandering in North Carolina. Those 3 seats in North Carolina, that's how Republicans have the majority in the House. And so you have no lever of government that can actually hold them accountable. Because the Republicans, they ain't saying nothing. And they're not going to say anything.
No, they're encouraging it.
Yes, they're not going to say a word.
Yeah, and many of them are cowards. Many of them are afraid of Donald Trump. They're afraid of the 1,500 domestic terrorists that Donald Trump gave a pardon to and released. But let me just tie a few threads together. This makes perfect sense. The reason why, if you go back, I think it was 2018 when Donald Trump was president before.
He wanted white folks to come in.
He said, why are we having people come from S-hole countries like Haiti and things like this? He said, why can't we have more people come from countries like Norway? Okay, he wanted to increase the numbers of white immigrants coming to this country. He talked about in October 2024, I think it was, he put out a video. This is leading up to the November election. He put out a video saying that he would give reparations in this country to white people that were harmed when it came to discriminatory practices in the United States. Okay. When he was president before, he accused South Africa of taking land from the white South Afrikaners. At the same time, this is the same accusation he's making against Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. He just made that accusation a few days ago, and Ramaphosa said we're not doing that. So he doesn't need evidence. He just puts the lie out and then puts this out. And after they cut USAID, after they shut down USAID, okay, and for those who say we shouldn't give humanitarian aid to other countries, that's less than 1% of federal spending. Okay, that's only about $40 billion. Federal spending, annual federal spending is $6 trillion for those that don't understand math. USAID was instrumental in dismantling apartheid in South Africa. Now you got this white supremacist, at one point, illegal immigrant, according to his brother, Elon Musk. And now many people think Elon Musk is the real president. Now they put sanctions on South Africa and they want to bring white South Africans here. This makes perfect sense. And I wish Dr. Greg Carl was on this show right now. He'll give a whole dissertation. This is the white nationalism, not white nationalism and Christian white nationalism. This is a white supremacist wet dream come true. This makes perfect sense.
But again, Zachary, numerous times I laid out on this show. I'm sorry, not even just on this show, just real simple. Everything that's going on, every single thing that's going on.
There it is.
I laid out right here. I tried to explain to people. First of all, in 2009, when I was waiting to go on CNN with John Avlon, I laid out in the book, John and I were talking, and I said, John, I want you to understand something. We're living in the beginning stages of white minority resistance. He was like, the same John Avlon who's now in Congress. He's like, Roland, what do you mean? I said, well, white America, even though they represent a majority of the country, at that time, I think the number was 63, 67, I forgot what it was. I said to him, I said, they are about to lose their minds. I said, they are about to show their true colors. They are about to go crazy because they cannot handle 2043 when America is going to become a nation that's majority people of color. And I said, you are about to see the reaction. For the last 16 years, that's what we've seen. Great replacement theory. Elon Musk is constantly tweeting about birthing rates and how America has low birth rates and how white European countries, they're not having enough children because they're freaking out that it's too many black people and Latinos. We can't have this. Germany, exact same thing. Angry with African immigrants. But Germany is losing population. Italy, losing population. These Western nations, and folks, there's a direct correlation to them swinging to the right wing in the face of this because they're trying to protect whiteness. And when Donald Trump last time called African nations shithole countries, and when he kept attacking Haitians and nations of, and actually said, oh, I forgot, was it Denmark or something? Can't we get people from like Denmark or whatever, one of those really white countries, Finland or whatever?
No way.
That's what he said. That's what he said. So this, oh, the Afrikaners, oh my God, they're facing so much discrimination, despite the fact that they got the land because of discrimination against the overwhelmingly black country. Mm-hmm. This executive order by Donald Trump is about protecting whiteness. Go to it. It's about protecting whiteness. And the person who, y'all know that boy, I don't know nothing about this. The person who is driving this is the child of apartheid. The man who became of age in the racist apartheid system in South Africa, Elon Musk. And what federal agency played a huge role in ending the racist apartheid system in South Africa? USAID. Y'all, we told y'all about this. We told y'all what these white supremacists were trying to do. We kept saying it, but way too many folk, nah, we gonna pick the couch. Nah, we gonna sit this one out. We gonna teach y'all a lesson. Really? Really? It's actually happening, folks. White supremacists and white nationalists are in control of the government. And do understand, did we tell y'all the other day, with regards to one of Elon Musk's tech guys who was fired because of racist tweets? Mm-hmm. Did y'all see what happened today? Did y'all see? Did y'all see where Donald Trump? Did y'all see where his Vice President, J.D. Vance? Did y'all see what happened? J.D. Vance came out with tweets saying, you know what? I really think he needs to be rehired. I just think that, you know what? This is the Mediaite story. J.D. Vance angrily defends call for Doge to rehire racist troll who called to normalize Indian hate. And he just made a mistake.
he just made a mistake. You know, it's just, you know, he goes, here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Ella's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward y'all listen to this. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people. Y'all, the Wall Street Journal reporter dug up the tweets. So he's now putting it on the reporter. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people ever. So I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that. Roland responded to that. And then Elon got in on it. It was like, you know what? Yeah, good idea. Yeah, you're right. Guys, they want the racist working for them. And remember, the other racist we told you about, that guy Beatty, remember the one who posted he had the tweet as recent as October 2024. First of all, this is what that racist posted on January 6, 2021. He was fired in the first time Trump was there. He posted this on January 21st. He said that Tim Scott, Ibram Kendi, Black Lives Matter, and K. Cole James of the Heritage Foundation all should need to learn their place and take a knee to MAGA. All black people. 2 of them prominent black Republicans. That's literally what this racist posted. Then this is what this same racist posted on October 4th, 2024. Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. Y'all, that was 3 months ago. And have the Republicans said anything? No, because they welcome these racists in the administration. They welcome them. And you know what I did? I actually sent a tweet to Pastor Darrell Scott because he was constantly sitting here, trying to call other folks out. And so I literally sent him and I said, well, are you going to say anything? And no, I want y'all to, come on, right now, go to my iPad. Look right here. I have personally texted him my response. Do you see anything? Do you see anything from Pastor Darrell Scott condemning the hiring of racist white people in the administration? Not a word. Now, he called out Charlie Kirk for his attacks on the Civil Rights Act and MLK. I applaud him for that. But now that Trump is there, his boy, who he can call on the phone, he ain't saying a word. They want the racist in the administration. This is their agenda. Going to a break. When we come back, if you're a federal worker, do not take a buyout. It is a trap. We'll explain next on the Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood Show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood Show and the Roland Martin Show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
Folks, millions of federal workers are deciding whether to accept or reject the buyout offer that Elon Musk has presented to them. Critics say the offer is a bad deal because the criminal-in-chief, Donald Trump, is not authorized to make that kind of deal. Remember, Congress must approve something like that. Ben Dixon is a pastor, political commentator, author of God is Not a Republican, joining me now from Atlanta. Ben, this is real simple. So y'all have this campaign that y'all are focused on, pull the graphic up, Ben's graphic, y'all. No, that's the book. So we were late showing the book, y'all. Show me the graphic. They're promoting, they're circulating for people not to actually sign this. Do y'all have it?
Thanks for having me, Roland.
All right. So Ben, y'all are trying to get these federal workers not to accept this buyout. Explain.
Yes, exactly. And I'm glad I heard you almost say black, because we know so many federal workers are black people. We know for certain that Congress has not authorized any type of buyout. And we know for certain that this was off guard. A lot of people, even in Donald Trump's administration, was caught off guard by Elon Musk creating this buyout package. We are encouraging all federal workers to, one, not fall for it because, like you said, it is a trap. But number two, they are the front line holding the line against MAGA. We need them to stay in their jobs, in their positions, and make sure that they hold the line. Do not take the buyout from MAGA.
Have you communicated with some? Because I saw one report earlier this week that an estimated 20,000 federal workers had actually accepted the buyout. I was talking. It's interesting. I saw this tweet. I brought it up yesterday from the right wing radio person, Buck Sexton, and he was like, well, it tells you these people won't accept the buyout because, they want to keep these cushy federal jobs. And my response was, no, idiot. It's because the buyout is not real. It's fake. It's fraudulent. This is the graphic. I just pulled it up myself. This is the graphic right here, Ben. Y'all pushing out. Federal workers do not resign. Do not resign. America needs you. Resist from within. Document everything. Demand excellence. MAGA will fail. But the most important thing, and spread the word, no MAGA buyout. But again, it's illegal. The federal, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Congress, actually, it starts in the House. Congress appropriates money. There is nothing there in the federal budget that says, yeah, we're going to pay these buyouts.
That's right. That's right. So it's smoke and mirrors, and it's to create a momentum. They're trying to create a momentum so that federal workers will quit on their own. They understand that they don't have the power. They have to go through the bureaucracy. They have to go through red tape to try to fire any of these individuals. And so they're trying to entice them to quit. But like you said, it's a trap. There's no congressional approval for this. This is Elon Musk talking out the side of his neck, trying to run a fast one on you. Federal workers do not resign. And if you know a federal worker, if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's a federal worker, please spread the word. Do not resign.
My panel, Matt.
So, Pastor, what happens if people don't take these resignations or this buyout, and the administration says you got to go and people just decide not to leave? Like, what are their rights literally in terms of being in a federal building, removal? What does that process look like? The reason I ask that is my understanding is something like 2% of the federal workforce is considering taking this, which means the other 98% are not, which means there will be mass action, presumably, as it relates to firing. What is your understanding on their rights in terms of removal and that kind of thing if they choose not to take this buyout and their hands are forced?
Well, thankfully, many federal workers are unionized, and many of the unions are speaking out right now, letting it be known that they are collectively denying and refusing to even consider this buyout. And so their first line of defense will be their unions, their union attorneys, those individuals who know how to file a wrongful termination suit. That's their next line of defense, to make sure you have your lawyers as much as you can get them, if you have them, to represent you immediately if you're fired. But while you're there, most importantly, we need you to document everything, because we expect a functioning government with MAGA just like we did underneath Joe Biden. And so federal workers can document the incompetence that we know comes with MAGA.
And also, I mean, I've seen some stories, Bill, Ben, if you can speak to this, that where some have speculated that if you take this buyout, it could have implications regarding your federal pension.
That's right. No, absolutely right. The part of the buyout, again, this is something crafted by Elon Musk. So you have to think that this is something that comes from the corporate sector.
And hold on, before you say, and it's literally the exact same language. He took it from what he did at Twitter. So they just copy and paste it.
Right. He copied and pasted the fork in the road email headline. Right. And so this is him letting everyone know that it is Elon Musk. He is trying to show how big his ego is and how much power he has. He did not consult with any of the department heads, any of the cabinet members. He made this move. It was disruptive even to MAGA, if you can, imagine that. He superseded the disruption of MAGA. And to what end? To lie to people, to try to entice you to quit. That's how they win. Workers, federal workers, please, for the love of everything, hold the line, do not resign.
Zachary.
One thing that I think is my question, right, as someone who does content creation, how can we get the word out on a broader scale to ensure that the federal workers know that, one, this probably is a violation of the Anti-Deficiency Act, and that the max you can get anyway from the government would be $25,000, so this would exceed that for many of these employees. How do we get the word out so that they know to stay and just toe the line?
No, absolutely. We have to get the word out one by one. We can't, there's no platform big enough that's going to come in and save us. So we need every content creator, every person in a text thread with your family, even some folks you haven't talked to in a while, anyone that you know from high school or college or your church that might be a federal worker. We need to reach them as individuals. We need everyone to do their part. The other thing is, I'm honestly, as I'm looking at the live audience with Brother Roland tonight, we need everyone in the live audience to go and recruit 5 more people to come and sit and listen to the wealth of knowledge that's happening here. It doesn't matter how much content we create if we don't get eyes on that content. So we need to get 100,000 Black folks watching Roland Martin every night. That's how we get the word out.
Michael.
Pastor Ben Dixon, can you talk about exactly what a civil service employee is and how that differs from an appointee? Yes. And how does this play into this whole buyout? How does this play into Schedule F employees, which is part of Project 2025, and eliminating about 50,000 at least employees and replacing them with Trump loyalists?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that very important question, because civil employees, civil workers are actually advanced based on merit, test taking, qualifying, expertise, they go through the mill. Any federal worker would tell you they worked and gave their life, everything they could to get to the position that they are in, versus MAGA, a bunch of incompetent, cave-dwelling troglodytes who don't believe in science, who don't believe in truth. They don't believe in anything but servitude to Donald Trump. We guarantee, we know without a shadow of a doubt, if these federal workers resign, they will be replaced by people who are incompetent, incapable, and ideologues.
All right, thank you.
Matt.
One more question, Pastor Ben. So my understanding is under President Clinton, there was some version of federal workers being asked to leave. I don't know all the contours of that, but if you would please let us know, is there any precedent for this? And if so, how was it done legally there, so we can contrast to what we're seeing, the illegal, actions going on now?
Not at this scale and not in this magnitude in terms of who's doing it. Elon Musk, the request goes against most of the policy, which requires a 30-day notice in any case with federal workers. That's the baseline, not to mention whatever the unions have. On top of that, there are layers to this being done. However, if they could just get everyone to quit, then they don't have to go through those layers. And so how would it absolutely look?
Actually, one second. I actually have the answer here. So a fact check was done on this here. And go to my iPad. Did Clinton set the precedent for mass federal workers? Trump fans say his plan for federal worker buyouts is not new. In the early 1990s, Bill Clinton See, I want y'all to hear this. This is the operative phrase. Bill Clinton signed an act allowing $25,000 buyouts for federal workers. That was passed by Congress. And that's right here. Under Clinton, the government offered mass buyouts. But there's a key difference with what's happening under Donald Trump. A bipartisan Congress overwhelmingly approved Clinton's program following months of review. That's the difference.
There it is. That's the difference, because this is being headed up by Elon Musk. He has taken his prerogative, he's taken his ego, his pride, and his platform, and has decided that this is what the United States of America is going to do, as opposed to Congress passing legislation.
All right, then. Again, folks, we want you to, is the graphic on your pages, and I'll put on my Instagram page?
Yes, it's across all of social media at this point. We need just everyone to get this image, send it to people in real life that you know, call, text them. Federal workers do not resign.
Absolutely, because again, if you voluntarily take the buyout, you're also putting in jeopardy your legal status. So and I'm sure Matt, being a lawyer, will tell anybody, you want to protect every legal opportunity that you have. You don't want to take that buyout. Don't even get near it. And I need people to understand. I know Christopher Wray and these other people, they resign. Y'all, I'm just going to tell y'all this here. When I worked at a radio station, KRLD in Dallas, Jack Hines was a news director, and so Jack wanted me to resign. Hell no, I ain't resigning. So somebody came to me and said, Roland, I don't understand. I mean, they're trying to force you out. I said, you never quit because you can't file for unemployment insurance.
That's right.
I said, you let them fire you. Y'all, getting fired today ain't the same as it was 30, 40 years ago. I don't give a damn. Let them fire you.
That's right.
Then you have a better legal standing. Then the unions can file lawsuits on your behalf. What you don't do, you don't voluntarily quit.
That's right.
You don't
do
it.
So much.
All right, Ben, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Going to a break, we come back. Y'all, they lost their minds on CNN when a sister talked about being the lowest paid despite all her degrees. Now MAGA's coming after Ashley Allison. Y'all know I got to educate these fools on the reality of systemic racism. That's next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, support our work. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to contribute via Cash App. This is the QR code for Stripe. To do so, if you're listening, go to theblackstarnetwork.com. Folks, you can also see your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now, we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
So on CNN, they had a hot conversation dealing with the issue of DEI, other thoughts, and Ashley Allison, who was a commentator on the network, you know what? She went back and forth with him, talking about her experience in the workplace. MAGA is really upset with what she had to say. Watch this.
People that they like to be around.
Do you think they like to hire the
also
best people for the job?
But I also think around the idea of diversity.
No, Donald Trump hired all of his friends. But I want to go back to people that are in his cabinet right now. You know, because you are a smart man. I know you know this.
Why don't you understand how political appointments work? I don't understand.
It's not about, but this is, can we just go beyond, can we just go beyond the cabinet? Because, yes, the president gets to pick whoever he wants, and the Senate is now for the Republicans, and I would have hoped that some of them would have had more profiles and courage, but they didn't, and they actually put people in that I do believe in your party you have more qualified people who could be in that cabinet. I'd like to think that, but that's not what they chose. Secretary of Defense. That's not what they chose, so go for it. The issue in this country right now is we live in different realities.
That's right.
I live in a reality where I know I do not have the same opportunity as you. I know I don't.
And you know
and
that
I know
too.
what, Scott?
I got it. And you know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run. And if you want me to,
I'm a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city.
I'm not talking about New York. I'm talking about actually right here. I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together at this table, right?
Fine by me.
And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in. And it's not because...
Even in the White House?
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think you worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess what happened when I was there? DEI. Scott.
Look.
I'm head Scott.
Look,
you're my friend. I respect you tremendously. I think you're probably the smartest operative in the Democratic Party, and they should listen to you more. That's number one. Number two, you and I share a comparable background. We're both from the Midwest. We both come from middle-class families, lower middle-class families maybe. I actually think we share a lot of similarities in our journey. But I think you made it, and you are the most respected voice often at every room or every table you're in, not because of anything other than your talent and your work ethic. And that's all anybody ever is asking for, is for people with talent and work ethic to make it. And that's what I see in you. That's how I see you.
But let me tell you something about my story and my family's story, is that we have faced discrimination. I have faced discrimination. I just said I was the least paid person, even in this moment sometimes, to my counterparts. It is just the reality of the country we live in. And I'm not saying, I do believe I'm qualified. I know I'm qualified. You won't ever tell me I'm not qualified. But the system that I live in doesn't matter about my qualifications.
All right. See right there. And that's the key. See, you heard Scott. Oh, my God, you're great. You're wonderful. I think you're so talented. It's about hard work and your knowledge. She's like, dumbass, you didn't hear what I said. I'm talking about the money. I'm talking about being grossly underpaid. See, this is what the right wing does. And see, remember, Pence and Trump last time, systemic racism. I don't believe in it. They want to deny it. It reminds me when I was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast. I had to school his ass. When it came to racism and housing. And if y'all want to see, now first of all, his ass ain't even from here. He from Iran. He ain't even from here. He tried to say in an interview, why don't I go back to the neighborhood I grew up in? Why don't your ass go back to the country your ass from and fix that? Watch this. I just want y'all to understand how these people are nuts.
Are you familiar with Palmdale? I'm gonna need you to be drug tested. Seriously. Yeah. Do you even know today? We've done the stories in Florida. When somebody's black selling their house, the appraisers will come in and literally give them a value $100,000 to $300,000 less because they're black. You know that that's actually happened, right?
You'll take one story and say that.
Oh my God!
On how many occasions has that happened?
That Are you serious?
Do you think a message like
Okay, why don't you go ahead and Google? Why don't you go ahead and Google?
How many times has that happened? No, I believe it's happened, but how many times has that happened?
The New York Times literally just did a story talking about the systemic racism that exists within housing appraisals. This is a fundamental problem. I'm trying to see you're living in a different reality.
What progress are you making by saying that?
What progress?
So what you're doing?
I'm trying to end that. Okay. Do you know how inherent? Okay, hold on. You said you're Middle Eastern, right?
You're trying to.
Hold on. You said you're Middle Eastern, right?
I am. Yes.
How would you feel? How would you feel?
Yes.
If you're selling your home, you've got a home that you know,
right?
And you put upgrades in it, and you know your home is worth $500,000. Yeah. And somebody comes into your home, and they see your photos,
right?
And they see your family, and then they go back and they go $350,000. You go, what the hell?
So you tell that story.
Wait, one second.
To get people to be convinced that that's happening.
It's actually
out of 1,000 appraisals.
Oh my God.
Out of 1,000 appraisals, how many times does that happen? Out of 1,000 appraisals, how many times does that happen?
You want to pull that up?
Tell
you want
me.
him to pull that up?
That's your world, though. Out of 1,000 appraisals, how many times does that happen? Let's just say it happens.
It is a significant issue in America.
Oh my God!
And wait, one second. And then when the woman, a black person should not have to remove their photos from the wall and remove black art and remove black books to have a white appraiser then come in and go, oh, it's actually 550. So one second, because I'm going to show you how it impacts generationally.
Here we go.
So when you follow me here, because this is housing in America. When you then get that lower appraisal, you then cannot sell your house for the higher value, which then means you are not then taking those proceeds and being able to invest, being able to send your kids to school. And what I'm trying to explain to you is there is a world out here that for some reason you're like living in Unity world that ain't the real America.
Brother, you have the wrong guy. And I'm
trying to get rid of that stuff.
You have the wrong guy here. You have the wrong guy.
I'm trying to get rid of it.
Okay, good for you. I am as well. But you have the wrong guy here. And here's what I mean by that. So when you ask the question, what do you do if they appraise your house $350,000 less, right? That's your question. Okay. I don't see myself as a victim. I stopped looking at myself as a victim a long time ago. And by the way, being Armenian and Assyrian, you know what a lot of people in the Armenian community do? You know what a lot of people in the Armenian community do? They sell victimhood mentality. I'm raised with that, which is the statement of mechka. I know you don't know what the word mechka means. Mechka means, oh, poor Roland, oh, poor PBD. I don't see myself as a victim. And the other part is when you use one story as an example to divide and get people even angrier, because out of 1,000 appraisals, this happened one time, I don't think you're unifying when you say a statement like that to say, hey, this is what's taking place all the time. But going back to it, so you left because you wanted better economic situation for yourself.
Listen to what you just said. Again,
I'm having a hard time listening to what you just said when you're saying
it's so fundamentally flawed because when you say, "Oh my God," you see yourself as a victim.
You do.
No,
you're selling it as a victim.
No, I'm not. What I'm selling is a reality. What I'm selling is when this is again. Since I guess you couldn't pull it up. Okay.
Oh, he did pull it up.
Okay. The Biden administration, the Federal Housing and Finance Agency, released 47 million appraisal reports to the public for the first time. The appraisals, which were compiled between 2013 and 2021, present evidence of a persistent, widespread practice in the home appraisal industry to give higher values to homes when the occupants are white and devalue them if the owners are people of color.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. You know why?
Hold up.
Let me tell you why that's such bullshit.
They actually took the reports and showed the data, and now you call it bullshit.
Of course I call it bullshit.
So you asked for the data and the facts.
No.
And now you give your opinion because you don't like the facts.
Bro.
Come on, man.
Do you run a company?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so when you run a company, how much shit can I find in the OPEX? How much
in the what?
With OPEX. When I go into my balance sheet and I look at my expenses, my monthly expenses, what I'm paying for, rent, employees, benefits, workers' comp, I can give a number and say, we lost $280,000 this year. And it's like, oh my God, we lost $280,000. And then I open up the balance sheet and then boom, I'll see you're moving your face like you don't know what I'm talking about.
First of all,
when I see a data like this, tell me the whole story. To jump to conclusion with something like this without seeing the entire story, It's ludicrous to make a comment like that. But
analyzing the millions of appraisals by using census tracts as a proxy for neighborhoods and comparing communities with nearly identical housing stock, two researchers found that the results showed a clear correlation. The higher the proportion of white residents in each community, the higher the appraised value of individual homes. They compared similar data. See, again, you want to reject the facts. And what I'm trying to explain to you is
I am refusing to constantly have people give data without me having access to the entire thing for their own benefit to divide
So what you're saying is, in order for you need access to the 47 million home appraisals.
I'd love to see
yourself.
I would love to see it.
Okay, guess what? It's a federal agency. File a FOIA.
I'd love to see it.
File a FOIA.
But here's file a what?
A FOIA.
Okay, so I'd love to see it. You know why? Here's the part. How often do you see data being used and we don't know the whole story? Both sides. How often?
Well, first of all, we see data out there, but what I'm saying, I'm looking at data, actual data, and I'm also looking at a reality. And here's what I'm saying to you. And again, this is what you, for some reason, you're not fully accepting. What is the most consistent way Americans have been able to actually build wealth? It has been through housing. That's been historical. And when you are black in America, this is not an opinion, this is not a perspective, it's a fact. What we have seen is when you have been unable to enter the housing industry, meaning covenants saying you can't sell to black people, then when you actually buy a home and they've been grossly undervalued, that then limits you from being able to sell your home at a higher value and now take the profits and then create a business and then be able to send your kids to college. And what I'm saying to you is, when that has been persistent, when you look at the appraisals, one, when you look at inability where you're buying a house, two, all of a sudden now you see a clear way how African Americans have been impacted, not historically, but still in present day. And what I'm saying to you is, whether you are Democrat or Republican, I want that to change, because what I want
you've had 53 years.
So come on. So I want y'all to understand. Y'all heard all that. See, I wanted to play that for a reason. Because, see, even when you present the facts, well, I need to see the data for myself. I don't believe that. I mean, you're bringing up just one example. I mean, I don't understand what you're doing. They are living in an alternate world, y'all. They are. When you show the data, how much a black man makes compared to a white man? Oh, well, you know, education. Now, the brother or the sister got more degrees than the white guy. Oh, well, what? You mean tell me that there's data that shows that the average black college graduate makes less than a white high school graduate? Oh, well, I don't, okay, dang, now I got to figure out, but this is the game that they play. And then with a Scott Jennings, well, I think you're wonderful. You're talented. You're very smart. I think you're the smartest analyst in the Democratic Party. They should be listening to you. I think you're amazing. You've got work ethic. And he never addressed her central issue. I get paid less. This is the bullshit that we deal with, Matt, Zachary, and Michael. I'm gonna start with you, Matt. And that white folk, even white liberals, but especially white conservatives, white Republicans, can't deal with. Ashley was on point, and MAGA, they can go to hell for attacking that sister for trying to educate you idiots.
No, it's not that they can't deal with it. It's that they won't deal with it. And what Scott Jennings did is what we see them do every time. They try to tokenize one person without looking at all of the phenomena, right? What did he do? He started lauding her and about how she's great and all that. She's talking about something that we all experience. And instead of addressing that issue, he decided to say, but you're my friend. You're cool. You're good, right? We are not judged on an individual person. We're judged across how our people are treated. And if we are getting paid systemically less than everyone, that is a demonstrably true phenomenon that's provable by evidence. And it doesn't matter how Midwesternly genteel and saccharine sweet you sound when you say that she's A-OK, Scott Jennings, when she's talking about a phenomenon that is easily provable. It's not that they won't or they can't deal with it. It's that they won't deal with it.
And to that particular that they won't deal with it, Michael, here's Frank Luntz trying to white mansplain how folks in my focus group, they just don't want to hear these things because you make them feel bad. Listen.
These people, I focus group them, and they are really, really tired of being accused of either racism or sexism because they voted for Donald Trump. And it's one of the reasons why so many of them did. I sat on this stage with you and got chewed out when I suggested there's a better language to reach out to voters, that the Harris campaign is missing what they're looking for. And I say the same thing here. Americans just want to be Americans, not hyphenated Americans, not female Americans, Black Americans, Jewish Americans. They just want to be Americans.
How do you think it makes people feel, Black people, women, any person who has immutable characteristics about themselves, to be told every time that something happens that because they exist in a particular role, it is their fault? How does it make them feel?
How does it make people feel when they're told that they're a racist?
No. I mean, answer. But answer my question.
I am, because these are predetermined considerations.
But no. You're telling me I'm calling.
Do you want an answer?
Well, you're not answering my question. You're telling me.
Yes, I'm trying to.
You were telling me that
your response is in bad faith. I mean, what she is saying is something you're not responding to because it doesn't address why Donald Trump immediately went to DEI as an explanation without any evidence whatsoever for what looks to be an inexcusable and certainly a very devastating and tragic plane and helicopter crash a couple of days ago. And instead, you pivot to talk about how terrible it is that some people who voted for Donald Trump are being called racist and sexist. You're refusing to grapple with.
It was actually a 10-minute segment, and there's no way in hell I was going to play all 10 minutes because, I mean, that bullshit gets on my nerves. But, Michael, this is the fact. White folks in this country, especially white conservatives, oh, my God, you're saying these things to them, and we're Americans, and we're not hyphenated, all this sort of stuff. Well, they don't like hearing bad news. That's why in this country, we've always had to soften our tone, change it, because we gotta talk about these things to make white people comfortable, to make them not, no, but that's not me. That's why DeSantis and the Republicans changed the law in Florida, where if you bring up sensitive historical facts, and if a white person feels uncomfortable in the classroom, then the conversation has to stop because I'm uncomfortable. I feel like I'm being attacked because of the Scottsboro boys. feel like I'm being attacked because 4 little girls were bombed in a Birmingham church. I feel like I'm being attacked because Black people were beaten and killed. I feel like I'm being attacked because white people lynched Black soldiers in their uniforms. I'm being attacked because we literally had an institution called slavery where we debased, dehumanized, and murdered and subjugated people of African descent. And so, therefore, since I feel attacked, we can't talk about it. We can't mention it. We can't talk about it. And so, oh, I'm sorry, we can't talk about how Black women, you're being grossly underpaid, but you got multiple degrees. We can't talk about the Black people in corporate America who train the white people who then get promoted, but the Black person who's far more qualified never gets actually promoted. No, we actually can't talk about those things because, Michael, it makes them uncomfortable.
Well, you're going to stay uncomfortable when I speak. So not only multiple degrees, but more student loan debt. And part of Project 2025 is to eliminate student loan forgiveness. Okay, and so you're not going to have the student loan forgiveness under the Biden-Harris administration you're not going to have that under the Trump administration that you had under the Biden-Harris administration. But the comments here about Scott Jennings, and I can't stand Scott Jennings. I can't. I see him sometimes on CNN, but what he did was he does what Republicans and Black Republicans always do when they are backed into a corner. They never focus on the pattern. They always make it an isolated incident. This comes straight out of the Republican playbook, okay? So he talked about, he's basically saying you're one of the good ones. That's what he said. Yep. He didn't want to deal with the fact that Black women make 69 cents on the dollar that the average white male makes, and it takes the average Black woman 20 months to make the same amount of money that the average white male made the previous 12 months. And that accumulates over 40-year working lifetime, 40-year working career, almost $1 million in lost earnings that African-American women lose out on. That's because of racism. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. And this is why Black Women's Equal Pay Day exists. It happens in August. So when you look at the facts on this, and CNBC.com has an article, Black women make nearly $1 million less than white men during their careers. This is from August 3rd, 2021. Go deal with the facts on this. So, and this is dealing with economics. They don't want to deal with economics because the whole purpose of racism was to maldistribute wealth, power, and resources into the hands of Europeans. And they are reconsolidating that in this whole backlash that we see, the attack on DEI, rescinding affirmative action. This is countersetting the racial reckoning that took place after the death of George Floyd. And they said, we're done with this. Donald Trump is back in office, and they are putting in place Project 2025. Hashtag we tried to tell you.
Zachary.
They are feeling bad because they feel guilt. And the guilt hurts. The guilt hurts. It's what their ancestors did to our ancestors, and it's what they are doing currently to us and to people like Ashley Allison, who is one of the most gifted and talented journalists that we are blessed to have on our television screens. Not only is she a phenomenal journalistic personality and voice, but she is an entrepreneur who is fighting and combating misinformation and disinformation in the Black and Brown communities through Watering Hole Media. I'm a huge fan of Ashley, not of CNN, I prefer, Roland Martin Unfiltered and Black Star Network any day of the week. Everything that Michael said, I once again want to reiterate, hands down, this is all laid out in Project 2025. If you would have read it, if you would have just, or not read it, look at all of the content that was being pushed out all across social media platforms about this, you would have seen that the plan is to not only take away opportunities for minorities to go to college, but to take away that funding, to take away Pell Grants, to take away student loans. All of that's in the pipeline and probably going to come down on us so that we will be able to, or be forced back into the Black jobs. They don't want us in the C-suites. They don't want to see our faces in the workplace. They don't want us represented. They want us in those fields working what they determine to be our Black jobs. And we have to do all that we can to educate our people and encourage our community to fight back through the available means to ensure that that day doesn't happen. We have earned our place. Where we are, what we have earned it. We have over-earned it. We are oftentimes, just like Ashley said, underpaid, undersupported, and underfunded, continuously and consistently. DEI didn't give us any advantages. All it did was give us due consideration. DEI did not give us any advantages. All it gave us was due consideration.
The reality, what's this? What does it say, Matt?
I don't see color, Roland. I don't see color. How often do you hear that?
Oh yeah, which is first of all,
I don't see color. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You see color, and you think I'm the Black that's acceptable. I'm okay, right? You're the one that's all right, Matt. Doesn't matter how we treat the rest of them. You're okay. That's exactly what you saw Scott Jennings do. You're the Black I'm okay with, Ashley. That's what we're seeing.
And that's the whole trick of the colorblind society. They try to. Dr. King wasn't fighting for a colorblind society. He was trying to dismantle white supremacy and racism. He was very proud to be black. He talked about that before. He said, "Be black and proud." What they tried to do, what Donald Trump said on January 20th at the when he was inaugurated, is going back to a Supreme Court ruling that Clarence Thomas made. He made the majority decision on.
Right,
I forgot the case. But it was an argument between Clarence Thomas and Ketanji Brown Jackson, and he was talking about a colorblind society. And this is the language that these conservatives latch on to. We want a colorblind society, merit-based, so we're going to get rid of affirmative action and DEI, and everything's equal. That's all.
So I want folks, again, for all these folks who, the Scott Jennings of the world, and the Frank Luntz of the world, and the Patrick Bet-Davids, here's a perfect example, a study that was done last year. White-sounding names get called back for jobs more than black ones. This is from NPR. It's dated April 11, 2024. It said, 20 years ago, 2 economists responded to a slew of help-wanted ads in Boston and Chicago newspapers using a set of fictitious names to test for racial bias in the job market. The Watershed study found that applicants with names suggesting they were white got 50% more callbacks from employers than those whose names indicated they were black. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, and the University of Chicago recently took that premise and expanded on it, filing 83,000 fake job applications for 11,000 entry-level positions at a variety of Fortune 500 companies. Their working paper, published this month, entitled A Discrimination Report Card, found that the typical employer called back the presumably white applicant around 9% more than the black ones. That number rose to roughly 24% for the worst offenders. What's it? So this is the point. Same resume, different names. Mm-hmm. That's what Ashley Allison was trying to explain to those idiots, that you can be black and you can have 5 degrees and you can have a law degree and an MBA and they will underpay you compared to white counterparts. And here's what's crazy. Happens to white women. I remember there was a woman who went to seminary and applied for a job at a Southern Baptist Convention church. She was a single white mother. And there was a white man who applied for a job, and the church literally told her, she was already there, the church told her that they were going to pay the white man more because he was married and had kids, and she was a single woman. Not, are you doing the job? Not, are you a hard worker? Not, are you competent? No, he's a man with kids and a wife, and you're single, so you don't actually need as much money as he does. Those folks don't want to hear that. And what Frank Luntz, of all people, let me be real clear, this is the same Frank Luntz who, through his focus groups, focus-tested racial language. Frank Luntz, frankly, should never be on any cable network because Frank Luntz is part of the problem with today's politics. And he's actually talked about it in the past. It was his focus groups. How do we craft certain language that will get these white Republican voters to support or oppose certain things? He's part of the problem. And so when he sits there and goes, well, in my focus group, they're tired of being, that's just toxic language. They're tired of being called those names. Let me just say this real quick. If you are a Donald Trump voter and you're MAGA Republican, and you're tired of being called racist and being called sexist, why don't you stop supporting racists and sexists? What a novel concept. Sonia Massey's family has reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with an Illinois county following her fatal shooting by a white sheriff's deputy in 2024 after extensive confidential discussions between county attorneys and Massey's family lawyers. Sangamon County officials negotiated a $10 million settlement through mediation. The 36-year-old Massey was shot and killed in her home near Springfield on July 6th of last year. Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson and other sheriff's deputies responded to a call about a possible prowler at her home. She called. Grayson shot Massey when she checked on a pot of boiling water in her kitchen while saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Grayson has been fired from the Sheriff's Department and is facing first-degree murder charges in connection with the shooting of Massey. He remains in jail but is contesting his detention in court as he awaits trial. Folks, let's go to our Black and Missing for today. On October 2nd, Kaylin Alicia Anderson was last seen in Huntsville, Alabama. The 18-year-old is 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighs 136 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing green pajama pants. Anyone with information about Kaylin Alicia Anderson should call the Huntsville Police Department at 256-427-7117, 256-427-7117. Do want to give the three of you an opportunity to just share your thoughts. We were talking about how Democrats are responding and what they're doing and sort of different things like this. And we saw today, we started the show with Democrats going to these different federal agencies. I personally believe they should be doing that. Dr. King always talked about, I need an antagonist in order to have direct confrontation, direct action. And so I think it's important for the nation, the world to see how Donald Trump and his co-president Elon Musk are refusing to allow members of Congress into these federal buildings. Those things should be shown. And so I just think that, and also from a messaging standpoint, when you see what Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is doing, Congresswoman Summer Lee, the reality is they have limited power to take certain actions. But I absolutely believe, Zachary, that Democratic senators should be saying, we ain't voting for a single one of your nominees. They should be saying, we're going to put a block on considering any of these names. They had more than 15 hours of filibustering to stop the OPM, the budget director from being confirmed. He eventually got confirmed, but they should be using every single tactic to shut the GOP down as best they can.
Hands down, the fact that Senator Marco Rubio was confirmed with 99 votes, almost every Democrat voted in favor of him, when we have not seen that kind of bipartisan support in decades, astounds me. That for me was my actual aha moment, wake up call. Well, you know what? Instead of calling it an aha moment, I call it an oh no moment. And that's when I decided to look. I hate to say it publicly, way more critically at Chuck Schumer and his role as a leader. And he's completely kind of proven his lack of spine and that he really is that spineless Democrat and how he has been responding to this moment. This is a moment that the American people need Democrats to step up in the exact same way that we have been seeing Representative Jasmine Crockett do, in the exact same way that we've seen Maxwell Frost do for Gen Z. We need to see our senators do the exact same thing. And for Chuck Schumer to be the leader, the Democratic leader in the Senate, and to be unable to understand this moment, it really does. It's disappointing.
There was something that Karen Swisher said. Kara Swisher. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up. And I really think this is important, Matt. And we've talked about it on this show numerous times. But this is her on CNN, and she talked about normalizing. Listen to this.
One of the things you're saying is like, there should be cuts, and maybe he has a point. This is what you're walking right into their trap. They should do it by passing legislation. They should do it legally. They're not interested. What they do is they depend on your civility, and including the media is like, well, they have a good point. Well, sure, but this is not the way to do it. And therefore, they've won the battle already because you're agreeing to it, but they're doing it in ways that have nothing to do with legislation, the power of Congress, and other laws. So what's the difference how they do it? Well, it matters how they do it here. And that's why they're running over you, because nobody's stopping them and saying, this is just nonsense. And let me just say, the last thing is they distract with other things, whether it's DEI with plane crashes, everything else. Well, they're doing that. So over here, they're doing the actual thing, which is the actual destruction that you can't take back.
And what they're also doing is they are playing on the media and others in terms of, you know what? They are, like, matter of fact, listen to this.
There should be cuts, and maybe he has a point. This is what you're walking right into their trap. They should do it by passing legislation. They should do it legally. They're not interested. What they do is they depend on your civility, and including the media is like, well, they have a good point. Well, sure, but this is not the way to do it, and therefore they've won the battle already.
Right there. They depend on your civility. That's the mistake the Democrats keep making. They're playing institutionalists. We're going to be civil. And they're like, yo, we're going to be gangster.
There's no greater motivator than fear, period. And our government is not afraid of us, period. And that is why they are dismantling the government before our very eyes and allowing pushing us into the point where we're trying to rationalize it and, try to fit it into this box of civility. That is not going to work. It's not going to work. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not calling for anarchy, but I don't understand how we as 334 million Americans are being held hostage by two dudes. I sent Carol an article from Wired, and the article says the United States is not a startup. And that's what Elon Musk is trying to do. He's trying to run this like a private business, whatever they say. What is it? Run fast and break things, or whatever the little saying is, right? It's not a startup. This is the United States government. So when we're talking about, various agencies being dismantled that affect essential services that people rely upon, like that's the thing that I don't understand from the standpoint of, even if you're a Republican, even if you're a fan of small government, the idea that the government is being dismantled, just the basic essential services are going to be dismantled, extraordinarily concerning to everyone across the political aisles. Right? Theoretically, you can be a person who is a conservative, but who does not like the idea that the Constitution is being run roughshod by people who don't even have, an obligation because they're elected. Elon Musk, folks are not elected. They're tech oligarchs. And the problem is this government is going to be, completely eradicated down to the studs, just like this article says. They're going to rebuild it in their image in the way that is advantageous to them. And in the meantime, we're going to sit and debate every finer, granular issue of political strategy on how to approach it within the normal confines when they are not playing the normal game, right? It's like the kid when you play a game with the kid and they just refuse to abide by the rules and they do whatever they want and they declare themselves the winner. You either don't play with that kid, or if you end up having to give them the smoke, you give them the smoke. That's where we are. We cannot use the same mechanisms we normally use. And, I know I sound a little Don Quixote-ish, but I have no other way to say it beyond we are having two different realities. There's a reality where they are going in and looting the government, and we're sitting around hoping that they stop doing it. I don't understand how two dudes are holding an entire country hostage. I don't understand how there are not hundreds of thousands of people outside 1600 Pennsylvania demanding different action. Frankly, I don't see how we as a society allow this to continue happening. Well, and maybe there's something I'm not considering, but
look, they voted for this crap. Look, again, it ain't like, Michael, as we keep saying, it ain't like they didn't tell us. They told us, but And then he denied it. Well, I don't know anything about. I know nothing about Project 25. I don't know anything about that. Whatever. And again, and so that's why you see these people. Well, we didn't think he was going to go this far. And here's the deal. Listen, unlike last time, ain't no third term. So there's no, oh, I can do whatever. Y'all can't do nothing to me. And by the way, y'all impeached me twice, and Republicans didn't convict me at all. So I'm good. When you give somebody that kind of power, a fool like this, he don't believe in lines. He believe in obliterating lines. Forget crossing lines, going to the edge. Nah, he like, yo, I'm about to hop, skip, jump, parachute, bungee jump the fuck over these lines.
Yeah, it's so much here. It's the one of the biggest difference between 2016 and 2024 is that in 2016, Donald Trump did not think he was going to win. So there was no plan. There was no plan in place. And he didn't surround himself with as many loyalists back then as he has now. He learned from that. And in the 3.5 years they put together Project 2025, they've been planning this. They've been looking at the weaknesses in the system, okay, and how to take this over. This is how Elon Musk takes over the Treasury, and nobody saw it coming. And then you have the legal analysts saying, well, he can't do this with the 14th Amendment. He can't do this with an executive order. They said, damn this, we're going to take it. And then now you come try to take it from us. Now, Democrats keep bringing a butter knife to a political street fight and wonder why they get their asses kicked. OK, so the fight that we've seen taking place the past few days, that has to continue. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is saying that they're ready. They're threatening to. Democrats are threatening to shut the government down in the House, coming up to the March 14th funding deadline to stop Elon Musk. He put out a 10-point plan this week, so they have to continue and intensify this. And also, the masses of people can't just put pressure on Democrats. You got to put pressure on these weak-ass, punk-ass Republicans who are derelict in their duties as well. Because if you don't, what you do is you give Republicans a pass. If Republicans don't feel any pressure from any people who they represent, they'll just keep on doing it, okay? And people, this past Wednesday, you had 50 protests around the country, many of them at state capitals. They had the 50-51, 50 protests, 50 states, one day. That was organized by Indivisible.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are downloading that document again like they did in 2016 and organizing as well. But this has to intensify. But, this is what we warn people about.
Yep.
And this stuff is happening faster than a lot of us thought it was going to happen.
Well, again, and folks, go ahead, Matt.
You know what's going to happen on the 4th of July? They're going to start talking about how this country was taken from tyranny by the American founders and how we should laud them and lionize them again, right? That is our core American ethos, that annually, July 4th, what do? We go out and talk about how they took this country from King George and they planted their flag. How are we allowing a tyrannical dictator who says he's going to be a dictator on day one, who will probably be talking about a third term sooner than later? I'm sorry, Roland, I disagree with you on that. I think that's absolutely what's coming, unless he's too old to continue on in the office. And we are acting like we're not at that point in terms of our democracy, our purported democracy. The idea that there are not people in the streets, like, you cannot just take the government from us, I don't understand. I really don't. And I don't know if it's just fear of discomfort. I don't know if it's fear of reprisal. But I know that 334 million is more than 2 mathematically. And how we have not become, pushed to action in a greater sense, I cannot understand it.
Well,
I don't think we have any political, normal mechanism to fight back.
And that's why. But that's why I don't want to hear that shit. I'm tired. I mean, it's tough. No, this ain't the moment to be tired. Real quick, Trump has revoked President Joe Biden's security clearance. He said, quote, Joe, you're fired. And then this idiot has appointed himself chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center. He's fired all of the board members, even though he actually can't do that. But again, he thinks he's a king. That's what happens. Right. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. Zachary, Matt, Michael, thank you so very much. Hey, folks, we do our best to cover all these stories. It's a lot of stuff I didn't get to. Understand, this stuff is real, what's going on. This stuff is real. And what we are seeing is an absolute coup, a takeover of this country. And if you are going to sit silently by, that's all up to you. We won't. We will speak truth to power. We will call things out when we see them. We will show you what the facts are and what needs to happen. But your support is critical for us to be able to do that. I keep telling you, there are no millionaires and billionaires sending us money. It's not. Oh, I know a lot of these people. I know a lot of these entertainers and folks in finance and folks in corporate America. They ain't supporting us. Now, when they get in trouble, I get a text. Hey, can you talk about this? Can I come on? They're not supporting with their resources. And so I appreciate every single one of you. I see some folks who are in our chat. Brother said, man, I sent my $50 in. I appreciate y'all who do it because the work that we are doing is so vitally important. We're rolling out a test show next week. I can't wait till you hear it. We're going to have new episodes of course, Balanced Living, new episodes of The Black Table. I'm looking to launch a business show. So we are all about the focus of covering the news and the issues that matter to you. So we want you to do us a favor. And it's very simple. 20,000 of our fans contribute on average $50 each. That's $1 million a year. That is absolutely vital, important for us to cover expenses, for us to be able to travel, for us to be able to be on the ground. Because listen, I'm not trying to sit behind this desk or sit over there every single night. No, we know we're gonna have to be out there covering the stories, going to cities and towns across this country like we've done over the last 6 years. So your dollars absolutely make that possible. So if you want to give via Cash App, remember Cash App has closed down all of our accounts because they changed their rules when it came to the type of companies. You can only have an LLC. Well, we are an Inc. So we're not an LLC, and so that's why we had to shut those down. But of course, we figured out a way around that. If you want to give us via Cash App, use the Stripe app. The QR code is right there. Very easy and simple to use. If you're listening, go to theblackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Don't forget, you can download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, get our merchandise. That's right. Our 2 shirts right now. We got other merchandise you can get, but hashtag, we tried to tell you, FAFO 2025. Also, don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. Go to RolandMartin.creator-spring.com, RolandMartin.creator-spring.com, or go to theblackstarnetwork.com. You see the QR code. You can use the QR code right there as well to access that information. Of course, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Yes, we took Target off of that. And so that's how you can get it. Download the audio version, which I read on Audible. And of course, you can also, what am I leaving out? Oh, of course, want you to download Fanbase, invest in Fanbase. And if you want to be invested in it, they've raised $8.5 million. The goal is to raise $17 million in this Series A raise. Go to startengine.com/fanbase or download the app Fanbase as well. Folks, that's it. I appreciate it. As we always close the show on Friday, we show all of our donors, and so we thank all of them. We thank you for watching. I'll see you on Monday. And let's see, who am I picking? You know what? Damn it. I want the Eagles to win. I want the Eagles to beat Kansas City. I want Jalen Rose to win. Because I don't support quarterbacks that like MAGA. I'm out. Holla!